Angels and Biscuits, CSTL here, and I was going to start City of Bones, so I thought maybe I would do a little bit of a reading vlog today. I am actually in Magnus cosplay, not because I was gonna read the book, but because I was doing some Magnus skits and filming things in cosplay with him. So that is why we look like this today. But because I am conveniently in the Magnus look, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to do a little reading vlog. I did think perhaps I would start documenting my Shadowhunters book journey a little more, particularly with the original series. So yeah. With me today, I have some Dino Nuggies. I don't know if you can see them very well, but they are Dino Nuggies. There was Baby Yoda things involved with the Magnus things, so be on the lookout for that. And that is why I have Dino Nuggies, because Baby Yoda things. And also, I have some wine. Don't know if that I need a reason. It was a long day of filming, and I wanted some more wine. Adult Warlock juice. So I will read a few chapters and then give you guys my initial thoughts, and yeah, we will see how it goes from there. So, first 3 chapters done. So far, I really like it. I'm still kinda nope to Jace, but to be fair, the show might be biasing me a little to him, but I don't know. He was based on this Jace, so he might still be just as annoying as he is in the show. Like, he's already kind of an arrogant, oh, I'm cool and I'm the best and blah blah whatever. So Jace, not my favorite yet. As for Clary, so far she's not getting on my nerves. Like in the show, she really gets on my nerves, but right now she's not, and I think that's because, like in the show, it happens once Alec and Magnus start getting involved, and Jace starts expecting things from Alec that it's really unfair. Like, he asks all this stuff and then selfish. Jace is selfish. Okay, but and Clary too. She expects to have everybody just drop everything and help her and blah blah blah. So I have Clary issues in the show. So far we don't have those issues, but also, like, she's not fully knowledgeable about Shadowhunters yet, so right now she's still a decent character for me. I like her. It is a little bit jarring for me that they're so young, because in the show they've aged them up. In the show, or in the book, she's like 15 going on 16, I think. So that's different, and that's a change, I think. Anyway, yeah, so Clary, I don't dislike yet as a character. I still love Simon. I loved Simon in the show. So far, I really love Simon's, I don't know, his humor. It sounds like he's starting off as kind of a comic relief type character. I know he gets important eventually. And fun fact I didn't know about book Clary, she's tiny. Okay, she's short, tiny, like just over 5 feet. And I'm like, me too, Clary. Me too. Like, that made me happy, like unnecessarily happy. I don't know. Should cosplay Clary now. I do have a ginger wig. It does have bangs, though. That's kind of what stopped me, but maybe we'll do it anyway. And I can be the tiniest Clary that I can be. Like, our body types are more similar than I thought. And then when she goes to Dorothea's, or walks past Dorothea, whatever about Madame Dorothea's, where was it? It's like when the door to Madame Dorothea's swung fully open and a man stepped out. He was tall with light brown skin, gold-green eyes like a cat's, and tangled black hair. He grinned at her blindingly, showing sharp white teeth. Is that Magnus? That sounds like Magnus. Who else has gold eyes? But what makes this fun? She shook her head. The memory of having seen something teased her, but when she tried to concentrate, it slid away like water. Nothing. I thought I saw Dorothea's cat, but I guess it was just a trick of the light. So does Magnus turn into a cat, or is just her memories of Magnus turned him into a cat? Because she obviously doesn't remember anything about the Shadow World, and Jocelyn's been taking Clary to Magnus for memory wipes. So does Magnus alter her memories to make himself a cat, or does he turn into a cat? Like, what is... I have questions about that. I have questions, and I don't know. But so far, I like it. This is her first novel, right? So the writing might not be as polished as it is in, say, those Bane Chronicles and the Red Scrolls of Magic and the Lost Book of the White, because those were written, years later. So this won't be as polished, but her way of storytelling is going to be mostly the same. And I am enjoying it, even if the characters are a little bit young. They don't feel so young, so relating to them isn't feeling as hard. Another thought, anybody else that has read the book but also watched the show, does Luke feel different between the two? Like I know show Luke doesn't wear glasses, but book Luke had glasses. I don't know that I liked that. Like, Luke, he's a werewolf, right? Like, he's still a werewolf in the books. I mean, he didn't say that he was a werewolf, but I assume he's a werewolf. Why would he need glasses? He's not Superman. Is he trying to be Superman? Like, oh, look, a disguise. You'll never know I'm a werewolf. Also a little impressed at a lot of the similarities that the show and the book have. Like, it took a lot from the book. I didn't realize how much they took, because I know it deviates. I will find out just how much they deviate when we get through the whole thing, but, like, they're not doing that bad so far. At least from the first 3 chapters. Early thoughts, I'm liking it. The characters are written fairly well. I don't immediately hate any of them. I think that's going to change, especially with Jace. Just my predictions, I'm not going to like Jace at all, but so far, no one just stands out as awful to me. They each kind of have their own unique personality. Even Alec and Izzy, we've only had a little bit about them, but there are a few things that that is mentioned about them that gives away a teeny bit of their personality. But between, like, Jocelyn, Luke, Clary, Jace, and Simon, they're each their own character. They each kind of can stand on their own so far, and nothing about them is immediately off-putting, which is great. I don't want to immediately hate the character. I want to grow into hating them or disliking them. I don't want to just jump in with dislike. I want to grow into the dislike, just like I want to grow into loving a character and thinking they are wonderful in the world, like Alec and Magnus. I am not biased at all. There is no biased opinion here in Bossing Say. So that's just my initial thoughts on the first 3 chapters, and we will talk again when I read some more. Though next time I probably won't be in Magnus cosplay. But I will see you, Angels and Biscuits, later. Hey, Angels and Biscuits. I am back with some more City of Bones vlogging. This time around, I have coffee and snacks. So, any people that are Midwest located, or Wisconsin in particular, Culver's is a thing and they have tasty burgers. So, I have a Culver's burger, but I don't care for the French fries. So we also have McDonald's French fries. And the coffee is from a local coffee shop. And we also have some candy from a local candy shop. So I am 100% prepared for reading today. Coffee and snacks. Today I will be starting chapter 4 and we will be continuing from there. Okay, so we have made significant progress since chapter 3. 4? I started 4, and now we are like halfway into the book. I am loving this. I am loving this book. I didn't think I would love it this much, but should I be that surprised? I loved the show. This is the source material. Why wouldn't I love it? But, like, okay. I don't even really hate Jace that much. I mean, I don't think he's, like, his personality is terrible, and I don't know what Clary or Alec would have saw in him. I am so happy Magnus comes along for Alec, really. Because Jace sucks, but I don't totally hate his sarcastic personality. It's kind of funny. And, like, I don't even dislike Isabel yet. And from the things I've read about the books and the characters in the books, like, I thought Isabel would rub me the wrong way a little bit more, but no, she's actually kind of cool, and then I kind of like her now that we've seen a lot more of her. And I love that she can cook. Like, that's hilarious. Loving it. I still think I prefer Luke in the show. They haven't really come out with that he's a werewolf yet, because he is a werewolf, right? Like, they kept that. And I still don't get why a werewolf would wear glasses. Like, do they not get perfect vision when they get turned into a werewolf? Like, what? Why wouldn't... I don't know, but Luke seems better to me in the show. Does it anybody else? Like, just me? I don't know. And Dorothea, so that was different. I thought, like, she was a secret warlock, but she just has the sight. Like, she's not actually a secret warlock. That was very confusing. I guess that's part of the the downsides to watching the show first. You have these expectations, and then, like, turns out, oops, it was different in the source material. I was gonna stop, like, when we got, like, just before Magnus's party, but no, Magnus is gonna show up, and he's my favorite, and I have to read about him. And he did not disappoint me. And I love that Alec is, like, the only one not afraid to talk to him, or he's not talking down to Magnus. I love that, because Jace is, like, totally, haha, I'm better than you, I'm a Shadowhunter, so he's talking down to Magnus. But Alec didn't do that. He, like, talked to him like he would talk to anybody else. And in fact, he's less annoyed with Magnus than he is with Clary, which is funny. And Clary, she is such a sass. I like book Clary so far better than I liked her in the show, and I am here for that. Like, she has a snarky streak. I'm just saying. I respect that about her. I have so many thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of feelings. Although, okay, one thought. Does nobody make the connection that Valentine would be Clary's father? Like, they know Jocelyn was married to Valentine, and this thing happened, like, what, 16 years ago? Valentine was supposed to have died. Jocelyn too, so, like, Clary's about to turn 16. Does nobody want to do math? Do they not know how to do math? Like, wouldn't that be suspicious? Oh, Clary's almost 16. Valentine and Jocelyn were supposed to have died 16 years ago. I don't know. That one, I don't know. Like, does Magnus know? Because he knew Jocelyn when she came to him with baby Clary, and did he assume? Or, I mean, I guess he wouldn't ask questions. I don't know. But I am loving it. And for her first book, Cassandra Clare is writing. I like it. Like, she describes things very well. You get a good sense of what's going on. It produces nice visuals in the brain. Like, I'm not mad about any of this. And I feel like all the characters, like, are, none of them, while I don't like Jace, for example, I don't like Jace, but he's not written in such a way where he's, like, so off-putting that you just can't stand to read him on the page. Like, you know, you look at his dialogue and his lines and you're just like, can I skip this? Like, I don't feel that way about him. Like, there's some characters you just want to just slap them in the face, like Clary did to Jace. I'm so proud of her for that. And you just want to just skip all their parts, slap them, and walk away and go have, like, a drink or something. I don't know. But I'm still a bit, like, disappointed that Alec hasn't had a lot of focus time. I do know this book is about Clary and Jace and blah, but although, like I said, I don't hate Clary, and, like, I really am enjoying Clary, but, like, Alec, I want more of him. I also think I might not like him so much if every time he spoke I didn't see and, like, I didn't visualize and hear Matt Daddario from the show. That's a big help when you're picturing Matt Daddario when you're reading this. It's kind of hard to dislike Alec, but I have read the Red Scrolls of Magic already, so, and the Last Book of the White. So I've had a lot more time with Alec in the novels than I have with anyone else, Alec and Magnus. Even more with Magnus because I've also read the Bane Chronicles, this one. And I know there's more to him than what we've seen here, so maybe that's part of it, and I just wish we could see that here. But, I don't. Why is Chairman Meow small? Like, is he actually a cat? Is he a real cat? Is he something else? Like, Jace said the size of a hamster. Like, what? Is he really a cat? That's my first question. I mean, it meowed. He meowed like a cat. But what kind of cat is that small? in Church, the Institute cat. Like, what's up with Church? I swear he came up in the Bane Chronicles, like, with when Will and Tessa were like, when Magnus was visiting Will and Tessa at the Institute. London? Will and Tessa? Like, or am I confusing that? But I swear Church came up in the Bane Chronicles. So what's with that cat? What is with the cats in this novel? I have questions. Also, the magic is throwing me for a loop. Like, again, coming in from the show, then to the novel's problems. Like, Magnus made portals, like, at the snap of his fingers, and like, now apparently it's a chore. Like, is that real? Is that true? Or was he just saying that so he wouldn't have to do it? Because Magnus doesn't, like, Book Magnus isn't the biggest on doing favors for Shadowhunters. So, like, is that factual? Or was he just making that up? But the magic does seem a little bit more complicated. Like, it takes more time, takes more out of Magnus. So maybe I did see him do a lot more spells in the Bane Chronicles, but it did seem like things wore him out quicker than what they do in the show, which I guess makes sense, because in the show you want more dramatic action sequences and stuff, so visually it's better to do it that way. But the book, you can do things a little bit differently. I cannot wait to continue on with this. I hope I can finish this soon. Like, we made it pretty much through to the halfway point, and like today, like I was 3 chapters in before we made it this far, so I don't think it will take me long to finish this book. But also, like, I feel like the show has impacted my visual perceptions of stuff going on, particularly like the characters in certain locations, like the Institute and Magnus's apartment. The characters, for sure, like everyone I am picturing from the Shadowhunters TV show. I don't know if that's helpful or hurtful. I know Magnus appears a little bit different than how he appears in the show. Like, I think he's actually flashier in the books, surprisingly. And I don't think he always has the mohawk in the books, but I get it. You know, you have consistent looks in the show, so why they kept him with, like, one hairstyle, but his wardrobe did change. Just wasn't quite as flashy as, like, especially in Bane Chronicles. We get a really good look at his fashion choices over the years. But I don't know if that's helpful or hurtful to my reading experience. But some things, I think, with the show's visual plus the description, it, like, expands it. Like, the City of Bones, I think I got a better visual with this, and I'm using the description in here because, or where, you know, where the Silent Brothers, that's the City of Bones, right? Where the Silent Brothers live. It seemed a lot better, cooler, I don't know, prettier in here. Maybe even Idris too, but with, you know, the show, they got canceled, I think, before they could really delve into fun Idris things. I don't know. I know I talk a lot about the show when I talk about the books, but that is my only reference point so far, and that is my introduction to Shadowhunters, so I am probably going to continue to talk about it a lot. But I am loving the book a lot more than I thought I would. And even the characters I thought I would dislike more, I don't hate them. They're not my favorites, and, like, I wouldn't choose to date them. Like, I wouldn't choose Jace myself. He's very arrogant and pompous, and I don't know. Sometimes I like the jerky characters, but not in the way that Jace is going about it. Like I have an arrogance limit, and Jace has crossed that. Like, first few times you meet him early on, like, he crosses that arrogance line. I think the only character that's really disappointed me is Luke. Like, I prefer show Luke. Everybody else is fine and like standing on their own, and I mean, I still think I'd pick the show overall because the characters aren't like 15, 16 years old, but I like them, you know. Not to say like that the books or the show, like one is better than the other. Like I was treating the show because I know it deviates from the books and it gets canceled, so I was kind of treating it like its own separate thing. Like, it's not supposed to be a carbon copy. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's like, I just wish it was a carbon copy. But if it's done well and it's an enjoyable thing on its own, it's fine. And I feel like that's what's happening here. Like, the show was its own thing, right? It did follow the books. It similar storylines, the characters, but it was its own thing. Kind of like, also like Hannibal, the TV show, and Hannibal, the books, or Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal, but the show took from those source materials, but it totally did its own thing. And I am loving that about this, that I can enjoy the books, but I can also enjoy the show, and I'm not like torn between choosing one because we can have both. I'm loving it. I am loving it, and maybe starting with the show was for the best, because if I start with the TV show, I am generally more open to enjoying the books and the show. If you start with the books, like for me, I sometimes get this attitude of like, oh, I would like, why aren't you following the books? This is so frustrating. Why don't you do this? And I shouldn't have that attitude, but I do. And I think if I start with the show, it eliminates that like grumpy attitudes when they do deviate from the books, because this was not my first attachment to the Shadowhunters universe, so I'm not going to get super mad when they change stuff. Oh, and I totally forgot, okay, to talk about Hodge. In like, okay, in the show, like, he barely stood out to me. He was a meh character, but he is so cool in the books. I love him. Is he still a traitor in here? Because I feel like he totally still is gonna be. Like, why else would they have done that? I don't know. But even if he is still a traitor, he's still cool, and I still like him. He's so cool. Giving off those, like, college professor vibes. Also, it is kind of fun to still notice all the little details that the show did pick up from the books. Like, some of it's kind of subtle, but you read something and you're like, oh, like, I remember that little tiny detail from the show, and I love that. I love it. But I'm also just loving where the story and what she's doing with it and where it's going, and it is taking a long time though for them to get Clary like into ruins. Like, they know she's a Shadowhunter, but they have yet to like teach her how to use runes. Like, when does she get her mother's stele? Does she get her mother's stele, or does she get her own stele? Maybe I will read more of this tonight. I don't know. Or we'll pick it up again tomorrow, and I will go on another tirade of just how much I am loving this, and I cannot wait to continue the Shadowhunters book series. So I will come back with an update when we have continued on with the story. So, update time on City of Bones. I'm out for a solo walk, so I thought it would be the perfect chance to get a little update in. We have made it to chapter 19, Abaddon. That's where I stopped. So I've seen the Hotel du Mort. Raphael, I love Raphael though. I think I loved him more in the Bane Chronicles. Not gonna lie, we haven't had a chance to appreciate his really sarcastic and overall just very sassy personality. He is wonderful. I love Raphael. We haven't really gotten to see that yet, but soon. We still don't know Luke's a werewolf, though. Like, it's almost the end of the book, and we don't know that. Like, so he had to be the one that sent those wolves to help Clary and Jace, right? Like, they were there to help. They weren't there to kidnap Clary. I don't know, but I'm still loving it. For the record, I am still loving it. I am in love with the book so far, even though Jace is getting on my nerves a little. We're starting to hit the get on my nerves portion of his character development. Like how he treated Clary after they kissed, and his attitude. It's like, okay, we get it. You want to pretend like you don't have feelings, but you have feelings. Whatever, Jace. Okay. Magnus is still wonderful, although he was only briefly in that chunk, and that was to give them, direct them to the Hotel du Mort. Alec, poor Alec, like, but wow, does he have anger issues. I did not expect him to get all aggressive on Clary the minute she mentions just because you're in love with Jace. Like, wow. And is that, like, not as big a secret as he thinks it is? Because Hodge seems to know. Like, he seems to realize that there's an unrequited thing going on there. Like, Jace will never love you back, Alec, sort of thing. When he brings it up when talking about Clary and Simon and Luke and Jocelyn and whatever. So is the only ones who don't know Jace and Alec's parents, or is Hodge just extra observant? Questions that I have. Also, like, Simon is being so helpful after everything that he's just been through, like getting turned into a rat, taken by vampires, like he bit some of them. And when does he get turned into a vampire? I know that happens with does Camille still turn him in the books? And where was Camille? Because she's supposed to be in charge, right? Raphael was the second, and he was currently in charge. And how did they... I guess Jace says he knew Raphael was a vampire, but it was so obvious, right? Although, okay, I'm going to give Jace a little bit of credit, because he did remember Clary's birthday, and he did give her that the witchlight rock, and I thought that was really sweet of him. He even shared that really, really embarrassing spaghetti bath story. Like, if I was Clary, I would never let him live that down, and I might tell all of his friends. By all of his friends, I mean Alec and Isabel. I don't care if Hodge is still a traitor and he gives the Mortal Cup to Valentine, because he is still awesome and I still love him. Now that they found the Mortal Cup, though, in the tarot card, like, why would they just take it out right away? Do they put it back in? It makes sense to put it back in the picture, because only Clary or Jocelyn can take it out of the tarot card. So, like, why? I get you gotta prove it's there, but, like, I hope they put it back. They don't do that before the chapter ends. I don't know what happens in the Abaddon chapter, but I know Abaddon's a demon. Greater demon. So that can't end well, can it? Like, a fight with a greater demon's even tough on experienced Shadowhunters. Older than the Alec, Izzy, and Jace. Like, I am still visualizing the show when it comes to the characters, though. And, like, how do people feel about Alec in this book? Like, do people like him? Because I don't know that he'd be necessarily my favorite if I hadn't watched the show or hadn't read the Red Scrolls of Magic and the Lost Book of the White previously. Even the Bane Chronicles, because there's a couple of chapters, about Alec and Magnus. Like, I know things already going into this. Like, I know Alec isn't that bad, that he's just having a rough go of things because, he can't be himself, and I mean, that's gotta be tough for Alec. I don't blame him in the slightest for being excessively, like, grumpy most of the time, but it does make for a mildly unlikable character, to say the least. but I still love him, but I don't know if that's because I'm biased. So those that have read the Shadowhunters first, like you started with the City of Bones as your introduction to the Shadowhunters world, what did y'all think of Alec at first? Like, did you like him? Did he grow on you? Like, let me know, because I feel like I'm biased to Alec from the get-go. But there is so much going on right now. Like, I cannot even, like, and also vampires can fly. Like, what? The show left that part out. They jump really high and stuff, but they don't fly. They flew. So, like, they have something against stairs. Yeah, so if you can fly, that is, like, really good werewolf deterrent, especially, and mundane. If you're trying to keep them in or something, you know, they can't get away because, oh, the stairs are broken. That's actually pretty smart. It's definitely a shame what happened to the Hotel du Mort, because we see it in its glory days in the Bane Chronicles. And it was, like, super cool and beautiful until that warlock tried to summon a demon or something in there, and ruined it for everyone. Hopefully I will finish the book tonight. Maybe do the update tomorrow. Part of me wants to start the rest of it right away, but I don't know. I was going to save like the next 2 books for May, but I still have to finish The Count of Monte Cristo. But I'd rather read the Shadowhunters right now. Like, that is where we are in my book reading journey, but I have to finish The Count of Monte Cristo. I do. I want to finish it. I do. But Shadowhunters. Like, I am literally just Shadowhunters trash right now. It's all I want to do with my time is Shadowhunters everything. Fun. Also, they have allergies. Like, Jace mentions Alec and Isabel have allergies, so they don't like to go to the greenhouse or whatever. They're Shadowhunters, right? They have Nephilim blood in their veins and they have allergies. What even? It's kind of funny, though, to think that Alec, big, strong Shadowhunter, is weakened by plants. Also, okay, werewolf logic. How? Okay, you're a human. You turn into a wolf, you turn back into a human, and you maintain your clothing. How on earth does that work? That was like, what? It confused me greatly. Because I would think the clothes would not transform with you. Like, that makes logical sense. Like, they are not magical. I mean, they are supernatural, but they're not, like, magic, whatever. How do their clothes come with them? We also haven't even seen Valentine yet. Like, the main villain of the, I don't know how many books, right? I mean, I assume Clary's brother Jonathan becomes the bad guy eventually, but we start with Valentine. Our main antagonist. We haven't even met him yet. Also, one more thing that is on my mind. Like, how come Jace judges those motorcycles, the vampire motorcycles that apparently some can fly? Alec was all, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I would love a flying motorcycle. He doesn't even get to drive one. No, Jace does. I felt so bad for Alec. Like, he wasn't even invited. You know? Like, Jace just went off on his own with Clary. He left his parabatai behind. So much for being parabatai, right? Like, he's supposed to be there riding vampire motorcycles with him. So that's all I've got for this particular update. And when I have read some more. The update will continue. Final update on City of Bones. I have finished it, loved it. I cannot wait to start the next one at City of Ashes. Like, we finally got the revelation that Luke's a werewolf. Like, I've been waiting for that like this whole book. And he got a lot cooler. I still think I prefer the show version of Luke. I don't know. But definitely feeling Luke a lot more now after he gave that big speech. Clary had a moment there with Luke where I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, I see it. You're a teenager. You're only 16. I see it now. But then when she was standing up to Valentine, like, okay, I liked her again. Like, Clary is not getting on my nerves yet like I thought she would. Jace, okay, is Jace really, was he really gonna go with Valentine? Like, was he actively choosing that? Or did Valentine put him under some spell? Or like, was that really his mindset? Like, Valentine, this villain, is my father, so I'm gonna go with him? Because it doesn't seem like something Jace would do, even if Clary wasn't involved. Unless he's more, like, easily manipulated than I thought he was. But, like, I get it if he was pretending just to protect Clary or his friends, Isabel and Alec. And then, okay, if Alec is his parabatai, why on earth would he just leave? Like, he's the worst parabatai ever, except for maybe Valentine then, right? Like, would Jace get exiled? Like, would the Clave have just disowned him? I don't know what would happen. Okay, so if the Clave exiles you, it severs your parabatai rune, right? Because that Michael and Wayland and Robert Lightwood, that happened, so it made it easy for Valentine to impersonate him. So, like, would Alec lose his parabatai? Like, and they don't really, she's not hyping up the parabatai in this book. Right? I've heard in other books the parabatai thing gets more I don't know, importance or more focus. It didn't get hardly any focus here. Like, we saw a little bit of it when Alec jumped in front of that demon to protect Jace. Like, Alec's a good parabatai. He's willing to die for Jace, but I have yet to see Jace be willing to die for Alec, Like, why are they parabatai? Why is parabatai a thing? Like, this whole concept kind of bothers me. I didn't care for it in the show. I thought Jace was a terrible parabatai then too. And I don't care for it in the books. Like, this concept of parabatai, I feel like we could do without it, because I have yet to see a successful parabatai. Like, I didn't see one in the show, and I didn't see one yet in the books. I know we're only in book 1, and there's lots of other characters in other books, so maybe there's successful parabatai. But even in, like, the with Will, Tessa, and Jem, I thought there was tension there too, because Will and Jem both were in love with Tessa, right? So, like, how do you put your parabatai first? Like, look at Jace. Clary comes along, changes his whole world upside down, and then suddenly Alec is no longer his priority. His parabatai, the one he's supposed to, like, be closer to than a brother, is suddenly less important. Like, the one he's angelically bonded to with a rune, who's he's supposed to put first, who he's supposed to, like, fight with side by side in battle. And, like, he's ignoring Alec to go help Clary with all her find her mother stuff, and protecting Clary and getting Alec hurt by a greater demon. I don't know. I'm not into the parabatai stuff. And then, oh my goodness, why didn't we get to see the scene where Magnus comes in and heals Alec? Does that come up later? Like, I want to see that scene very much, because we only got it just like them talking about it. Isabel being all, oh, it was so cool, Magnus, but he shooed them out, and then there was like blue and red sparks coming out from under the door, and like Alec being all, I don't remember anything. He's saying it like, and like his dialogue implies he remembers something. Like, what does Alec remember? What happened while he was healing Alec? Like, did they get to talk, or like did Magnus? I don't know. I want to see that scene. I want it. Because Alec's clearly hiding something. He was talking way too quickly, like defensively, like, oh, I don't remember anything. Like, yes, sure you don't, Alec. You remember something and you're hiding it. But like, what isn't he telling us, you know? Also, Valentine as a villain, I kind of like him. Like, he's such a smooth-talking liar. Although Clary was having none of it, I was so proud of her. Like, I am still impressed with Clary. I hate to say that because Clary, I was a little biased coming in with Clary, but she's not that bad. At least not yet. Maybe things get, I mean, that was only the first book, so like there's time. I still need to know, like, did Jace, was that all an act, or was he really gonna go with Valentine? Like, who, if he was really gonna go with Valentine and that wasn't just an act to like keep Clary safe or something, really? That easily? The guy shows up, says, oh yeah, I'm your father all along, and that's it? Like, you just go with the bad guy, with the guy who caused serious problems? Like, the guy that tried to ruin basically the world by starting a war between Downworlders and Shadowhunters? Like, that would never have ended well. What is Jace thinking? Want to slap the boy? Unless it was an act and he really wouldn't have done it, but like, still loving Hodge. Like, I love that he's the one that called for Magnus. Like, despite him still being a traitor and like he still cared for the kids. Like, I respect that a little bit. Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna betray the Institute and the Lightwoods and whatever for my freedoms, because I want my freedoms. Like, I get it. You want your freedoms. It's been, what, 16 years? You want your freedoms. Like, he could have let Alec die. Nobody else would have, like, thought to send Magnus, like, a fire message or whatever, if that's what he did. Are fire messages a thing in the books? I don't... But yeah, so he didn't want Alec to die. That was sweet. I was like, oh, Hodge. Another thought I had. It's like, which book? I guess I have to read to find out, or I could Google which book it is. But which book that Clary and Jace find out that they're not siblings? I mean, I already know they're not. Like, that's not a big secret to me. But, like, how long before they find out, you know? Also, like, is Valentine lying to them because he's trying to use them both like he did, okay, like in the show? Like, I wonder, I mean, again, I could Google these spoilers, I'm trying not to, but like, I know in the show he lied to Jason Clary because if Clary failed to do what he wanted and he failed to use Clary to activate the soul sword, he used Jace by letting him think he was, you know, the kid with the demon blood when really he was a kid with the angel blood. So like, it worked for him too, because he's like 10 steps ahead of everybody, Valentine, and Jace was his backup plan, or maybe his real plan, because he knew he'd step in to self-sacrifice. Like, is he doing the same thing here? Like, is that his plan for Jace? Because this Valentine's a little different than the Valentine I'm used to from the show. Like, not in a bad way. This Valentine's still pretty cool. I think this Valentine is better than the book, the
the book Valentine is better than the show Valentine, but you know, it's just like, I wish I knew what the plan was. Okay, also, the werewolves. Can we talk about how cool it is that they can partially transform? Like, I love that. Like, you can just transform your hand into, like, claws. I am just saying, like, vampires can fly and werewolves can partially transform. The downworld seems a little bit cooler in the books, except for maybe warlocks. I don't know. I feel like the show, the warlocks have more, like, magical freedom. Like, Magnus could do portals at the drop of a hat. Like, at least in this book, I don't remember if he did a lot of portals in the Bane Chronicles. I don't think he did, but according to him in this book, portals are effort and a lot of work. So it's like, is magic not as, I guess, free to use as in the show? If that's the case, I do prefer the show as far as Magnus's abilities go, but otherwise, the other downworlders are pretty cool. I think they are faring a lot better in the book, and like, wow, like, I don't even know what the fair folk can do yet. I know there's more kinds of them than what the show had. I know that much. Like, I don't know what they can do because we haven't met any of the Seelie yet. Or the other Fae. I don't know. Unseelie, Seelie. How many kinds of Seelie are there? Oh, I didn't even talk about that conversation. Okay, the conversation between Alec and Clary. Like, that was actually really sweet. Like, Alec's starting to maybe not be so hostile towards her. Maybe it's because she did bring Jace back, but like, that was actually a pretty sweet conversation they had as he was taking her towards the stairs to go up to that garden place thingy to go see Jace, and like, he even apologized and made a joke. Like, not that it's a good joke. I don't think Alec would be a very good joke teller. Like, I think his humor would be very kind of like dry. I don't know. I just don't see him being actually that funny. Like, I think he thinks he's funny, but he's not funny. But I like that they had a nice moment together, and like, her and Isabel had a nice moment too. Like, oh yeah, we can be girls and friends. Like, we don't have to hate each other. Like, yes, that's true. You can be two like badass Shadowhunters together. Like, that is totally possible. And oh my gosh, Simon using Alec's bow. Totally forgot about that part. He totally MVP'd that situation and saved the day. And I was like, I'm so proud of you, Simon. Like, oh my goodness. Yes. Like, show Jace up. Yeah, that's exactly how it's done. Like, makes sense now why I think he gets the bow when he becomes the Shadowhunter, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember from the Lost Book of the White, Simon had a bow too. Things are making a little more sense now. It's not just Alec who can shoot things with the bow. Okay, and the demon rules are a smidgen different. Like, greater demons are also weak to sunlight. Like, what? Why? But, okay. We'll see where it goes. Okay, I think I've rambled on long enough on the City of Bones. If it wasn't clear, which I think it was very clear, I absolutely loved it. I know I am super late to the Shadowhunters hype. This came out when I was a freshman in high school, so I had plenty of time to get with the hype, but I think that's why I didn't, because it was kind of popular when I was in high school. And some of the really hyped things, I don't know why, but I tended to avoid. Like, I did the same thing with the Percy Jackson series, though that's less enjoyable for me. That's a different, I could go on for days about my issues with Percy Jackson. Like, okay, it's not that I'm not enjoying the Percy Jackson books, but It's definitely a struggle, and I'm not as in love with those as I am like with these Shadowhunters books. I probably still would have loved them in high school. Maybe I would have felt a little differently because, you know, when you're a teenager and you're 15, 16 years old too, like Clary, I probably would have related a lot to Clary. I don't know if I would have felt differently about anybody else. Maybe I would have disliked Alec a little more at first because I wouldn't have had this show to watch or have had the option to read like the Bane Chronicles or the Red Scrolls of Magic, so I wouldn't have known there's more to him or that him and Magnus become this wonderful couple and have a wonderful relationship, and I love them so much. But I wouldn't have had access to that first, so maybe my thoughts on Alec would have had to grow over time. I don't know. But I definitely regret not getting on this hype train sooner. Like, I love that book. And I am very, very excited to continue this series. Like, I haven't been this happy about a book series, I think, in a long time. I don't know that I was this hyped about books. I mean, I'm always hyped to have new books, right? But I haven't been this hyped about a series, I think, since the Sookie Stackhouse novels were still coming out. And I was still reading the books as they were coming out, and I was super, super hyped every time like a new one would get released. And I was like looking forward to each one, and I haven't really had that like excitement. I get book excitement since then, and that was years ago now. It's been a while. It's like I am not mad about this at all. And I am so happy, like I'm not irritated with Clary. Like I'm glad I'm enjoying book Clary, because this would make this a lot harder if I did not, considering she is like the main character. Like, do we get more screen time with Alec and Magnus in the book? Like does the Mortal Instruments cover them in a little more depth, or are they only like side blips? That's important to me because they are my favorites. Like that is probably what I'm most looking forward to, if we're being honest, is like watching their relationship actually develop. Because I've seen them in a relationship, I've seen them with their warlock, little adopted warlock baby in The Lost Book of the White. Like, so I've seen them progress a lot as a couple, but I haven't seen them progress to being a couple. So anyway, if you have made it this far into my vlog, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I will likely do another vlog for the second book, City of Ashes, and we will go from there. So yeah, thank you for watching. You know, leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you want. I'd appreciate that. If you want to chat about Shadowhunters, feel free to do so, and I will see you guys in the next one.